Okay, everybody, welcome back to another edition of band logos that absolutely suck or maybe don't suck at all, where we will look at some of the best and worst logos in the world of rock and metal. Interesting thing with logos is that there is no real relationship between whether a band's music is good and whether their logo is good. There are times when a band has one of the coolest logos of all time. For example, Christian Death, which I thought was going to sound like Sepultura or Slayer, and most definitely did not sound like Sepultura or Slayer. I feel like they did a little bit of a bait and switch on me. Back in the day when you couldn't listen to music before you bought it, you just took a chance based on the logo. Sometimes you got burned, sometimes you got something great. And then there's the very many bands with great music and terrible logos. And so today we'll look at some of the combinations of those. We're going to look at these on two different dimensions. First, we will look at whether their music is good or bad, and then second, we will look at whether the logo is good or bad, and then we'll rank them accordingly. But before we do that, I got to check in on a very important poll I did last time. I asked the important question: Megadeth fans, do you have an Android or iPhone? So far, surprisingly, iPhone is winning. I'd imagine whichever comes with Cricket Wireless. I'm actually shocked that there are iPhone-owning Megadeth fans out there. I'm shocked, but we'll see. We'll check in later. Android users might not know how to vote. That's true. Or maybe their phone doesn't support the latest version of Twitter because they have like a Samsung 4 that hasn't gotten software updates in like 19 years. But first up, let's check out Mayhem for the black metalers in the house. Notorious black metal band, one of the most well-known second wave Norwegian black metal bands. I think they started back in 1987 or something like that. I know the backstory behind. We're not going to get into all the lore behind the band and all that. Everybody knows the lore. You know, somebody got killed. Blah 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 blah. Everybody knows the lore. But have you ever actually listened to their music? Maybe not. I feel like there's probably a lot of people who know the band and know the logo, but have never actually listened to them. Well, here's what they sound like. The song is 6 minutes long. Still hasn't started. Here we go. Here's some Mayhem for you from 1994. Vocals are interesting. Now, you guys might be surprised to hear what I think of this. You guys are probably expecting me to just like shit on this, but I'm not going to do that. I actually think, number one, I think the Mayhem logo is amazing. I think the logo is so cool. Like, the logo is just so like genuinely unhinged, right? Like, nothing about it makes any sense. It's so like amateurish. It looks like a 14-year-old drew it on the back of their math textbook or something like that. But like a 14-year-old who is like kind of unhinged and like probably gets in trouble for like torturing small animals and like setting things on fire and like has to go live with his uncle because he tried to stab his mom. Probably was literally drawn by a 14-year-old. Probably so, and it looks like it. I think it's awesome. Like, it's not good by like textbook definitions, but it's unhinged, and that's what I like about it. It's like, it feels like really disturbed and unhinged, and I think it's cool. I also feel the same about their music. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily choose to listen to the music, but I actually, like, I really respect what those, like, second wave black metal bands did, you know, as far as making just, like, deliberately, like, shitty, inaccessible, difficult music, because they thought metal was getting too fancy. Because all the thrash and the death metal bands were getting so technical and perfect and trying to be too clean, and they felt like it was getting a little bit too accessible. And so they said, well, fuck that. We're gonna make this deliberately difficult, like horrible sounding, like torturous music, and all our artwork is gonna be just this like really brutal black and white shit. I actually really respect it. I think it's fucking awesome. Like, it's a great logo, and I wouldn't choose to listen to their music necessarily, but I respect it, so I'm going to put it on the upper right. I'm a fan, I just don't like it, if that makes any sense. But I have tremendous respect for it. That's what I think. Now, how about on the other side of things, how about our boys in Pantera? When you see this logo, what comes to mind? When you see this logo, you should have the biological imperative to say one thing. Exactly. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. That's what you have to say when you see the Pantera logo. Or you can say the N-word. That works too. One or the other. You have the urge to casually say the N-word. Yeah, one of the absolute, like, top 3 metal bands of all time, in my opinion. Like, they're my favorite metal band ever. It's the Predator font. It is. That's the thing. The logo maybe leaves a little bit to be desired. It is quite similar to the Predator logo, isn't it? You see that? We've got Predator. We've got Pantera. Not exactly the same. Pretty damn close. Yeah, it's a bad logo. It's a bad logo. It looks like a freeware font from, defont.com or whatever. Really badly distressed freeware font. It's bad. Amazing that they made it as far as they did with such a shit logo. So I would say incredible god tier music. Logo, not so much. Yeah, impact font with the free distressed textures. Yeah. How about your boys in Green Day? And I'm talking about classic Green Day logo here. This one from way back in the day that they started having way back in the 80s. This is their very first logo. Way back in the day. The very old school Green Day logo. Which, again, looks like they had their friend Jeff. Like, hey, Jeff knows how to draw, right? Do you think Jeff could draw a logo for us? Yeah, Jeff, could you come up with something? And here's what Jeff came up with. Looks like it's from a Nickelodeon cartoon. It actually looks like, those safety scissors from school? The like plastic ones with just like the dull metal edge on them. And you tried to like cut letters out of construction paper. It would kind of look like this, right? Those safety scissors were always so dull that you'd have to like hack at the construction paper like 3 times. The edges would just get like all shredded and fucked up. And you would just kind of give up and you're like, oh, whatever, and like just tear it. I feel like that's what this logo is. It somehow kind of worked for them at that time, but if you just look at it on its own, it's not good. It's not good. It got the job done, but can we say it's good? Probably not. So I would say definitely a bad logo. Now, Green Day's music, they've had their ups and downs. They've got some stinkers in their catalog, like the Uno Dos Tres trilogy, not so good. Father of All, terrible. In my opinion, Nimrod and Warning, so-so. But their good stuff is so goddamn good. Like Kerplunk, Dookie, and American Idiot are fucking incredible. The new album is pretty damn good. Revolution Radio, not bad. So I would say very, 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 very good music. One of the best bands of all time. But logo maybe leaves a little bit to be desired. But here's the plot twist. They have more than one logo that they're known for. The American Idiot logo, I would say, is damn good. So I'm actually going to have the unorthodox move here of including Green Day twice. The heart grenade thing, I think, is pretty damn good. I'd say that's one of the more recognizable logos of the 2000s. So I would say Green Day, rare example of a band that's going to appear here twice. The heart grenade is really sick. I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. Who's next? How about, this is going to be a tough one. How do we feel about your man, Robert Zombie? Mr. Zombie, I'm a huge fan. Could I have your autograph? Rob Zombie's a tough one because as a human, he seems really cool. He seems like the best dude, right? Like, he seems like a really humble guy that I would want to be friends with. But, if I'm being honest, I can't say that I think his music is great. It's not great, right? It's much worse than White Zombie. Like, somehow he has like a wildly successful career as a solo artist, even though it's kind of not that great. And he still headlines all these festivals in like Iowa and Indiana and stuff like that. Despite having like very, very little musical talent, like his vocals are pretty not good. Seems like a great dude. I respect him a lot as just sort of like a creative visionary. But if I'm being honest, I can't say that his music is great. Living Dead Girl, that song's sick. I mean, it's okay. I'm going to be harsh here, but Rob Zombie is for the alternative rednecks, like the kid that lives in the trailer park and his dad like drives a truck for a living, that kind of thing. Nothing wrong with that, but that's who it's for. Those kids, they tend to be into like Rob Zombie, Escape the Fate, and maybe like I Prevail, right? It's like the emo redneck kid with like the Invader Zim merch. I feel like that's the Rob Zombie fan base. The logo also pretty bad. I'm like 99% sure this is literally like some grunge font from the 90s, maybe modified slightly, but I'm pretty sure this is just some like font from the 90s. So I'm sorry, Mr. Zombie. Believe it or not, I am a fan of yours. I really am. You seem like a cool dude. I'm sorry if this offends you. White Zombie, great. Mr. Zombie's solo material, I would say not fantastic. The logo also not fantastic, but huge respect to Mr. Zombie as a person. I would love to be friends with him. I would. So Mr. Zombie, I hope that we can still be friends, even if I don't like your logo. I hope we can still be friends. Here's a little bit of an obscure one. Do you guys know this band Possessed from back in the 80s? Do you guys know this band? Very arguably the very first death metal band. They coined the term death metal. They have a song called Death Metal from, I think, 1985. I think it's fucking awesome. This is the song Death Metal by Possessed from 1985. I love this shit. Guitar player was a kid, yeah. Larry Lalonde from Primus played guitar in this band. The logo looks like something you can see on Big Rig Mutt Flaps. Kind of does. I'd be into that. Here's what I'm really into is edgy RV graphics. Have you ever noticed this? Like how all RVs have this like weird, like edgy, like almost like tribal tattoo kind of graphics on them like this. Yeah, like this type of shit. Here we go. This is what I'm into. This type of shit. And they always have some name like, you know, the Marauder or, you know, the Assaulter. Like, why do they always have like such edgy names? It's like, why do people like, they get some RV to take their grandkids camping and then it's called like the Rapist? Like, why do people want their RV to have some fucking, like, super aggressive name? I don't know. Anyway, kind of does look like something you'd see on one of these RVs. I think it's an awesome logo. Like, the devil tail off of the P is fucking awesome. These flames. I think this is, like, one of the coolest metal logos of all time. And I think Possessed, I think their music is also awesome. You know, obviously very old school. So, you know, if you're not into, like, primitive old school death metal, you wouldn't like it. But I think it's cool. So, Possessed, going up there with Mayhem and Green Day, that's what I think. Now we got to fill out the bottom right-hand corner of this a little bit. So let's do that. The Red Hot Chili Peppers have an amazing logo. One of the best logos ever for a rock band. So simple, and yet somehow it just is so effective. Like how many people have that tattoo of the, whatever, the asterisk? And you know, just it works. Like it goes perfect on a shirt or a sticker. Without the text, you could just like carve that in a skateboard. I think it's one of the best logos of all time. Unfortunately, their music, not so much. I don't know. People seem to get mad at me for this a lot. I feel like it's not a controversial opinion that Red Hot Chili Peppers music is terrible. I'm surprised that there's so many people that ride for them. Uplift Mofo Party Plan, Mother's Milk, and Blood Sugar Sex Magic, I think, are fucking awesome. Everything else that they've done is trash, in my opinion, and I'm surprised that there's so many people that are like going to bat for Red Hot Chili Peppers, like in the current year, that people like think that they're great. I'm shocked by it. But nonetheless, I do think it's a fantastic logo. Another thing we have to point out, whenever we're talking about Red Hot Chili Peppers, we got to talk about this. Anthony Kiedis and his lady friends. Let's look at this one here. Anthony Kiedis' lady friend right here. Looks like she could be his daughter. I think she's like 23 or something, and he's like 60. So like almost could be like his granddaughter. And the way he's holding her like this, like she's trying to get away. He's like, oh no, you're not going anywhere, young lady. Absolutely not a rapist vibe. No, not at all. No. Nothing creepy about this at all. Nothing creepy at all about Mr. Kiedis, Mr. 60-year-old Anthony Kiedis. And then he got another one. This girl looks like, I think she's in her 20s. So, you know, nothing illegal about it. But look at him. Like, she looks like she is a freshman in college, and he's like 60. So proud of himself to be walking off with his granddaughter here, who's like several inches taller than him, taking his granddaughter to her first day of college. Just so proud of you, honey. Lunch is on me. Yeah, a little bit weird. Maybe not the world's best human being, but they do have a great logo. Music, maybe not so much, in my opinion. So I'm gonna put them down here. Good logo, not the best music, I think. Oh, Jesus, he got another one. Look at this. He's got another girl who's 35 years younger than him. This is like the meme, the guy explaining meme. It's like, okay, there's this band called Sabaton, and Nick Nocturnal called them war metal, but they're not war metal at all. They're just a metal band that sings about war. It's totally different. War metal is this whole genre. Sabaton has nothing to do with war metal. So yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to explain that. And she's like, okay, Grandpa, Don't forget to take your Metamucil. This is going to be one that I think upsets a lot of people, but I'm going to say it anyway. Let's talk about Nine Inch Nails. I feel like a lot of people are going to be upset about this. I think their logo is fantastic. I mean, it's so simple. It's so bold. Again, it passes the test of like, could you scrawl it on one of your notebooks at school? Absolutely. And yet it also works on merch as a sticker. It works on a, it looks like the new Kia logo. Yeah, it kind of does. One of the best logos of all time. And it's so simple. Just that they flipped the other N backwards is such a simple choice, but it works so well. Yeah, but here's the thing. People think of Trent Reznor as Audio Jesus. But that's the thing is like, I don't think their music is that great. Like, have you listened to Nine Inch Nails recently? I don't think it's like terrible, but have you listened to them recently? It's not like, listen to this song. Like, this is not good. Like, can you really say that this is great? It's not good. It really isn't. It sounds really corny and dated. It sucks. It does. It sounds like a local band. It's really bad. I mean, in 1994, I guess it was kind of cool, but it's really not that good. It sounds corny. Didn't age well, was huge in clubs at the time. I believe it. I wasn't old enough to go to clubs, but I believe it. It really just, it's not that good is the thing. It really isn't. I mean, just be objective. I hadn't listened to it in a long time, and I was like, oh yeah, Nine Inch Nails is great. And then I listened to this, and I was like, actually, not that great. I know that this is going to upset a lot of people, but I'm going to say Nine Inch Nails music, not fantastic. So I'm going to put it down here with Red Hot Chili Peppers, a very, very, very good logo, and not necessarily the greatest music. That's what I'm going to say. Just my opinion, people. Just my opinion. So there it is. The band logo music compass. Take it or leave it. Just my opinion. Feel free to completely disagree with me. Feel free. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.